Optimus Prime is an absolute pillar of the Transformers franchise. That does not even need to be stated. He's had so many appearances in TV, comics, film, video games, and of course plastic, that it's hard to count them all, especially since they seem to churn out a fresh one every other month. Take my collecting comfort zone of generations for instance. There's been so many different versions of the G1 Optimus design alone, and then there's the Laser Primes, the Orion Paxes, and many others. And that got me thinking which G1 Optimus mold does it best. So, care to join myself and a couple of pals while we take a look at every major box cab Prime, Voyager or above, to come out in the last 18 years or so in The Generations Optimus Royal Rumble. And we begin by looking back to 2006 with Classics Optimus Prime, or more accurately in this instance the Age of Extinction Optimus Prime Evolution 2-pack, but just the 1984 one. I only grabbed this guy a couple of months back at a toy fair and I was pleasantly surprised by how much I like the sculpting here. The details aren't quite as fine-tuned as they are nowadays, but they still work really well here, with the solid amounts of surface detailing, some really impressive mechanical detail, particularly around the legs, and some really nice proportions, along with a solid head sculpt. Unfortunately, there are some downsides to the sculpt here, which I'm not really sure I have to point out. Yeah, the kibble on this mold is pretty egregious. The arm flaps would be bad enough, but the way that the backpack rests with the truck grille and the armature for the wind vane is pretty obtrusive, and if you try and cover it up with the wind vane, then it doesn't sit right, so it's a bit of a lose-lose. The deco is another thing worth mentioning. The original Classics toy took a bit of a different approach, lots of extra yellow and blue on the go. The version I have here is a little more G1 toy inspired, with gleaming chrome, yellow eyes, and patches of paint to emulate those original stickers. I really like it, but then again, I'm a slut for a toy deco. But if neither of those float your boat, don't worry, you have got plenty of other options. Accessories here are sort of the best thing ever. He's not going for classic weaponry at all, but instead he goes for the gimmicky weapons that were abundant at the time, with two transforming blasters that I like quite a lot. They're really cool in how they work, and the transformations are a lot of fun. I particularly like the black one, and don't get me wrong, the red one is nice, but it's just a little bit too big and unwieldy for my liking, so it tends to stay on the back. This figure really surprised me with how poseable it is. It's still very much a product of its time, the head is quite limited, there's no angles or wrists, and the kibble gets in the way, but the limbs themselves are pretty great, and there's even a torso swivel. But in terms of expressing personality, this guy has nowhere near the range of figures that would come later. But this figure kinda doesn't need that level of posing, it cruises by on charm alone. Transformation here is okay, things go together nicely, and it holds together, but the parts forming for the accessories is meh, and nearly nothing actually tabs in, just holds together on tight joints alone. And the truck mode is definitely different. I really like the front face here with the gentle slopes, large headlights, and the huge bumper and grille. The pinwheels are very nice, and the truck seems well proportioned, but I just don't know how to feel about the wind vane, especially since mine flops around a lot. And you can't exactly leave it off if you wanted to. I'd have definitely appreciated the option to. I just find it a shame here that the compromises for the robot mode mostly come together for making a good looking truck mode that I just don't vibe with, and I find I enjoy a G1 style box on wheels it just works a bit better for me. But then again, this was early generations we're talking about. The designs weren't going for hyper accurate yet, and instead this figure just exudes charisma and charm. I can genuinely say that I've almost as much fun with this guy as I did with Armada Prime, and I can see why they kept using this mold for what, a solid 8 years or so? I cannot say that I found the same enjoyment for the figure that followed though. Combiner Wars Optimus Prime was one of the figures I most wanted as a kid. My first ever Generations figures were the limb bots that go alongside this guy, and I saved my pocket money for weeks to get this figure, and by the time I had enough to get the one at my local toy shop, it was gone. So when I finally found one at a toy fair last year, my reaction was mixed to say the least. The sculpted detail on the go here is honestly pretty good. I'm a big fan of the smoother surfaces with the more intricate detail peeking in between the panels, and those big proud window titties are pretty lovely. That hair's a little Pax-ish though, and I'm not sure it works. But those proportions, they just plainly suck. His arms are too big and long, the head is too small, the thighs are comically tiny, and he's so flat. I am always here for a beefier Optimus, but at least make the proportions cohesive. The colours here are alright, the silver paint works, and I really like the metallic blue that they used on the windows, but the red and blue just look a little bit off to me. Probably the fault of the Combiner Wars plastic. Accessories here are okay. He comes with the right gun, along with a second so they can plug together for the combine mode, but they don't quite fit with the proportions of the main bot. And the articulation, just don't even try. This thing has butterfly joints, a waist swivel, and the head moves pretty well, but that is all the praise I have for this guy's posing. The hip ratchets on my copy going forward are uselessly loose. That is because they broke themselves on my copy the first time I bent them. Just pop the waist piece right off its screw and I'm not driving out a pin to fix it. And the shoulders and hips are disgustingly tight, and that's not even accounting for the fact that he can't stand in his sculpted A stance. All the issues here just come together to make this guy an absolute nightmare to pose.
F***ing hell.
Transformation here isn't quite as hellish as the posing. It's got a bit of a Jinrai vibe going on, and I honestly quite like the truck mode, but by no means is it perfect. The proportions aren't exactly on point, and he lacks a lot of paint, but the vibe here is much more to my taste than the way Classics Prime modernizes its truck mode. I think that it's just the toyetic fun factor of this thing's huge beefy truck mode that makes me like it, along with the fact that I can actually appreciate the weight of the thing now that I'm not moving ratchets that are out to kill me. But the tomfoolery doesn't stop here, my friends, because if we can join this guy with his crew, we get this. Ultra Prime? Optimus Maximus? Which is it? I can't remember. All I know is that it isn't good. The upper torso section of this combined mode is okay, but the legs just let it down, both in terms of looks and stability and posing, and you can forget plugging in Rodimus. Ta-da! Wonder how much it would take to... No.
He's still Nope.
This is why I don't mind Legacy Menasor parts forming. Continuing the Prime Wars trilogy, we got Titan's Return Optimus, which was a kind of G1 Laser Prime hybrid Headmaster triple changer thing. I'm staying out of it. And not long after that, we got a good hearty classic leader class in the form of Power of the Prime's Optimus Prime. But I don't have that.
But now let's shake this up like a crying baby. Hello, I'm TheSheepWielder here for a collab, and I promise I will not f*** it up. So anyway, here's Nemesis Prime. Oh, fuck, I did it, didn't I? From 2018's Power of the Primes line. He was an exclusive release, and a repaint from the Optimus Prime of that line. As such, he comes with the Power of the Primes gimmick, girth. But we'll get to that in a moment. This Prime was one of the first in mainline, if not the first, to include a trailer, and this one does something. Also, I'm not including the Power Master repaint from Titan's Returns, and you can't make me. Being a repaint of the Power of the Primes one, he's a very compromised flat-nosed cab. Good paint applications, you know, they pop really well, but it's an uphill battle against the compromised design. Ah, Joe Hasbro, I fucking love it. Let me take you to dinner sometime. But yes, like I say, compromised, just like the toilet on a 12-hour flight after you've just had airport food. And the worst part is you can't even tell me I'm wrong. Oh yeah, and trailer exists. This was back before they knew how to put legs on the thing. But hey look, they put legs in the thing. Why are you built like this? Your head looks like a bird. Yes, as part of Power of the Prime's barely ever used gimmick, he comes with a core robot which is meant to represent a repaint of Orion Pax, and you'll never guess what he's called. It's like Nemesis Orion Pax or Nemesis Pax. Yeah, you knew that one was coming. Also, he comes with a gun that splits in half, which is what the original came with, but here's what he came with that the original did not. Some pretty nifty forearm blasters, although granted I'd probably call them cannons. A sword that just so happens to become a bird. Huh, maybe the bird thing was actually intentional. A red sword that is far too beautiful for him to have, and the end result is Power of the Prime's Nemesis Prime, who holds many distinctions that are very non-noteworthy, such as ankle tilts pre-siege, a Matrix gimmick, and that's about it really for this guy. So imagine my surprise when they did him again for Netflix. He even made an appearance in the show. It wasn't a particularly good one. Don't watch the Netflix show. But anyway, if we just pop the trailer out of the way because it's just a box. Yeah, Siege Cab. The main thing to note about the Siege mold was that it wasn't particularly alien, even though it was meant to be. Like, outside of some wheel coverings, a transparent grille, and a roof rack of lights for some reason. Yeah, it's just another truck with some extra doohickeys. But it sure does the job better than the last one, El Bozo, motherfucker. But while I transform him in the background, let's talk about a box. See, 2 years after Power of the Primes, they discovered that trailers have legs. But the thing about this box is that it's full of goodies. Outside of doing all as a toy, he comes with a load of accessories such as gun, cannons, a sword that turns into a bird, a red sword that's too beautiful to live with him. Seriously, Super Megatron deserves those swords. Have you seen how handsome he is? I mean, have you seen how handsome he is? Yeah, that's better. A replica Allspark from the show, some Energon cubes, a blast effect, and a shield that turns into a snake. Seriously, I had no idea Nemesis Prime was such a nature lover, but none of that matters when you get Nemesis Prime into his robot mode. Now, I'll admit the reuse of accessories looks really fucking goofy. Like, I'm talking about the level of fucking goofy that was the cause of Mickey to divorce Minnie. But honestly, the new accessories make this guy feel pretty good, and I imagine if they just thought it was a Voyager without the trailer with these, he probably would have been a little bit better to, like, take in. Unfortunately, he's yellow to and I don't think he's anywhere near as posable as the successor Optimus Prime, even the dead one. But he wears it well, and I think generally he's probably more worthy than the Power of the Primes one, which is a bar so low it's considered to run through the core of the Earth. But yeah, I think that about wraps up all I wanted to say about Nemesis Prime. Where will he reappear next? Knows. Where will I appear next? On my channel, weirdly enough. Hey, wait a minute, Loubat, ain't you appearing in one of my videos?
Overall, I like both of these. Power of the Prime's Optimus does have that quintessential look, but the scale, the alt mode compromises from the gimmicks, they just weigh it down. And the way that the design cleaned up so drastically for Siege is nice, but once again, there's a lumpy truck mode, granted by design this time. But other than that, he's probably the most uncompromised Prime so far. After the design shift of Siege, moving to hyper-accurate and articulated designs, it wasn't long until Earthrise Optimus Prime hit shelves, taking the approach of a full Prime set that hadn't really been done this purely yet. Sure, Power of the Primes did the trailer in the Matrix, but that was balanced against the evolution gimmick, and was not presented nearly as elegantly as this thing. With its fantastic sculpted detail and really good proportions, when standing straight at least. I've got to address right away that Earthrise Optimus Prime has some pretty long legs, thanks to the way that the hip segment is oriented. I suppose I can commend Hasbro for doing that, both to increase the articulation and separate the figure visually from Siege, but it does look a little bit odd when you move the hips. Looking past that though, the proportions here overall are pretty solid. I love the bulkier torso and arms and the chunky legs. The boxy Optimus look had not been achieved this well yet, and it remains unbeaten in my opinion. I love the head here too. It's lifted from the Siege figure and works fantastically on this body. The one visual issue I have here, other than the long legs, are the short smokestacks. They work sure, but they could definitely do with being a little longer. The colours here don't 100% hit the mark for me either. The figure uses slightly desaturated hues, and while it kinda works, he lacks a little bit of the pop that the other versions have. Although if we're talking about pops of colour, those silver-lined sky blue windows work fantastically. Unfortunately though, the silver paint is not very durable, and is chipped and worn down on almost every present surface where it's applied, which is really quite poor. And why didn't you paint the yellow one as why can't they just have Optimus with white legs? We've had so many Optimus figures with the grey legs, but with the cartoon-accurate deco surge that seems to be going on lately, I'm amazed that this guy hasn't received that treatment yet. Accessories here are pretty nice, but a little unrefined. The Iron Blaster here works, but it's a little too chunky for my taste, and the flip-open gimmick is a little loose on my copy. The Matrix Chamber is very nicely sculpted and contains a Matrix that I'm sure is familiar to anyone to own any figure since 2020. I suppose it works for what it is, and it was a pretty big deal at the time. And finally, he comes with his trailer, which is pretty good, but there are some things holding it back. Namely, the lack of white in the stripe and that gap above the wheels, which is pretty ugly. Also, the door has this knobbly bit that comes off to become a shield, but I don't give a shit. And the trailer can open up to reveal this little man sitting in there. He's just vibing. This trailer works for what it is. It's still not perfect, but at least it was something at the time. Now though, seeing the trailers on Kingdom Rodimus, Legacy Laser Prime, and Studio Series Magnus, the flaws in this one seem more apparent. The posability here is something I have few complaints about though. This guy moves fantastically thanks to those hips, giving him a great deal of range at the legs, along with a lot of very nice ranges across the arms, knees, ankles, and head. And he has opening hands, which again, at the time, big deal. The only place the posing here falls behind is the waist swivel, which is limited by the back kibble, but even then, this guy is still very dynamic. The transformation here is precisely half great. The torso does the faux grille best out of everything we've looked at so far. All the panels and gap fillers are a nice touch, but the legs don't seem to do as much as I'd want them to. And the truck mode is really good, but it just has a few flaws holding it back. The box itself is fantastic, the surfaces are covered in great amounts of detail, and the proportions are really sound, but my copy has a slight defect where the cab doesn't sit right on the truck bed, and that tends to mean the truck bed itself doesn't sit flat, and that just bothers me. Also, I wish the fuel canisters would snap into place in the outer position. When you stick the trailer on though, it brings together the look fantastically. This is what I'm here for. As a whole, this figure ticks plenty of the boxes, articulation, accuracy, accessories, but something about those colours just kinda makes him seem a little lifeless. Whether it's this deco or the Voyager Price Netflix version, actually, no, he can get even more lifeless than that. And he can also get evil.
Evil man. I'm gonna re-record this whole thing because I said too many times and it was pissing me off, so it's definitely gonna piss someone off who's watching it. This is Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. The official one, not the third-party one. You know what I mean. In his alt mode. He looks absolutely brilliant, to be honest with you. He is a classic G1 styled cab in evil colours. Aside from the issue that he doesn't tab in very well there, he looks great. He's got quite a lot of mechanical details to really sell that, you know, he's a 20-foot tall giant robot. I know I haven't flipped them out, but they never want to stay out. There you go. They like to fold in quite a lot. The transformation is very, very easy. It's simple. It's, you know, the Earthrise. What's it called? My brain's gone blank. The Earthrise Optimus Prime mould. His tits spread apart, and he's got a lovely matrix in the middle. Let me just grab it properly. I'll show you that. There. There you go. It's nice, clear, piss-coloured kind of plastic, painted with a purple accent, just to complement the cab. Now, what you see here, there is only maybe one faux piece in this, if I remember correctly. So everything that goes in the robot mode translates here, and it properly flips around. And there is only one bit of alt mode kibble in the robot mode, and we'll get to that in a minute. Aside from the tabbing issue, it's an excellent, excellent alt mode. Evil. This is Evil Man in his robot mode. He is excellent. I know he's the official, but there's something about this one, and he fits perfectly with the other Shattered Glass robots. You can tell he's the leader of the evil guys. It's something about this design that just exudes tyranny, and it's not right, but I like it. It's the same colour scheme as the alt mode, you know, same tits that open. No, barely any faux pieces here, I don't think. If any. That's why people like this so much. But it's the same as the Earthrise mould. I think MrLoubat has already talked about this earlier in the review? I don't know. But if not, I will go through the articulation. Shum, backwards, because of the transformation. 360 at the head. Talking about head, mine has a scratched up faceplate, which is annoying, but battle damage, so I'm not bothered. Universal hips. Past 90 there. Not past 90 there. Wrist swivel, which I'm very happy about. He can do that. Well, he can't, but you know what I mean. And he's got a nice ankle tilt for my feet people, and a little bit of a... There you go. One more thing. His luscious round butt cheeks is the only form of alt mode kibble on this that doesn't, you know, that isn't normal on a Prime G1 design. He does come with the Matrix, which I've already showed you, but he also comes with this rather floppy blaster. So you'll see that it's a very floppy blaster. He's got a floppy blaster, floppy head, quite loose knees. You know, I could probably... It's hard to show on camera, but you know what I mean. I'm fairly certain that's a result of the Earthrise tooling, but I would still 100% recommend this guy. I sat with him for about an hour, maybe two, straight, just transforming him, posing him, playing with him, because he looks so good. Get the reissue. Just get it, because you're going to get the Ratchet with it. It may be some flimsy piece of crap plastic that you can't really transform, but he looks great next to this Prime. And I can tell you that because I've got a lot of different Shattered Glass robots, and them two stick out probably the most. Just pick it up. So, after that one, we have this fella. This little guy who is based on something that isn't even out yet. So, you know, we're getting good when Hasbro starts releasing shit we have no idea about. This design of Optimus Prime is based on the Transformers Rise Impact Reactivate game that we know all about officially. It's a very nice figure that looks off, in my opinion, because he doesn't have this mechanical detailing you see on modern Chug. He kind of forgoes that because he was made in 2020, he was designed in 2020, so he doesn't really have these common standards. He's still decently articulated, you know, universal hips-ish, but he's not up to date. Does he have wrist swivels? He does. I haven't really played with this guy that much because there was something about him and the Soundwave that kind of put me off. Saying that, he is a very nice Prime design, just not a very nice feeling one at times. He does come with a booby chamber. Get open. Oh damn, that's a nice matrix. Is that my first G1 Prime looking matrix? I think it is. No, that's Evil Blaster. He also comes with his axe. It's a yellowy, ambery kind of painted piece of clear plastic, and it's got these nice black painted accents showing the f***ing floor. It just looks great. It's one of my favourite accessories, even though I don't use it on many other robots apart from Reactivate Prime. He just looks really good standing with it. This design is one that I think people will instantly take a liking to on the game, as long as they stick to it. One thing that I guess won't be in the game? Backpack kibble. He's got a bit of a jetpack, but it's not too bad, it's fairly well managed. But aside from that, not much else to say about him really. He's a fairly simple figure that if you want him, pick him up. You might want him more once the game's released, but you know, if you've got nothing to relate to him on, what's the point in picking him up? We'll see once the game releases. Holy f***. I did it. Oh, f*** me. Backwards. 10 times over. This panel came off, which was a bit annoying, but yeah, I couldn't be bothered. No, I could be bothered because I sat there for about 10 minutes trying to get that working, and to get this back into these two little slots in there, but I didn't want to. So now you've got that f***ing thing. Wow. I don't know why I didn't transform this guy. I think it was a case where I bought the figure, put him in robot mode, put him in a few poses, chucked him on the shelf, and didn't worry about him. He's not that bad. Honestly, the arms are the worst part, because you've kind of got to bend things in and get it on the side, plus they look bland f***ing me backwards. What am I saying right now? But maybe I just really want it. The legs tidy away fairly well, apart from this knobbly bobbly. But yeah, I don't mind it, honestly. Ow. I did not mind the transformation either. I'm pleasantly surprised, honestly. Well done. There you go, there's Reactivate Optimus Prime. Where's his blade? Ah, there it is. Reactivate Optimus Prime.
Out of all the contestants here, Reactivate Prime is probably the best individual figure. Although his design isn't spot on to the G1 style Prime, he ticks most of the boxes with the most vigour. However, if you're after something a little more directly 1984, Siege and Earthrise do well, just not perfectly. And arguments could be made for Power of the Primes and Classics too, Combiner Wars can go to hell. I just still don't feel that we've had the perfect Chug Optimus yet though. That is a big yet, however. Please be good, please be good, please be good, please be good, please be good. Special thank you, of course, to TheSheepWielder and KianMckenna. You can find them in all of these places for being in my videos and helping me out here. And cheers for watching. If you like this video, maybe leave it a like, drop your favourite Optimus figure down in the comments. And if you subscribe, then maybe I'll catch you next week. Who knows? I'll see you then.